Okay, I have my apron on and I'm ready to get to cooking. Sorry about the noise in the background. It's my kitchen heater. It's very loud, but I need it on right now, so there's really nothing I can do about it. So I'm gonna start with making bread because I don't have any bread in my house and I just am really in the mood for some homemade bread. And I'm gonna use this White Lily white grapeseed flour, which is what I got in that Degusta box unboxing video. I'll have it linked down below if you guys want to go watch it. And so yeah, we're gonna make some bread together. So this is gonna be really fun. I have my tripod so that way I can hopefully set you guys up so you guys can watch me as I make it. I know making bread can sometimes be a little intimidating, but honestly guys, it's really not that hard. So I will have you guys make it with me. So before I start this, I just want you guys to know I'm following the recipe on the bag for the flour. Obviously, if you're using just regular white flour, you might want to just look up a recipe through Google. You can find one, easy peasy. But I'm going to follow the one that's on there because it's a wheat bread. So, you know, it's a little bit differently than if you're just making regular white bread. But the first step is to get warm water. And I just wanted to point it out if you are a first-time bread maker or, you know, you want to try it out. You never want to just like put water in the microwave or heat water up on the stove, because if your water is too hot, then the yeast will not react to it. You will actually kill the yeast. And it's the same thing as if your water's too cold, the yeast won't really do anything. So what you want to do is just run your water through your tap. And once you just want to have it warm to the touch, and that will be the perfect temperature to your yeast. And I have my 1.5 cups of warm water and I'm putting it in my mixer bowl. I'm trying to get you guys so you guys can see a little bit better. And I'm using the Fleshman's Rapid Rise yeast. That's just what I have. And I'm going to use 1 packet. I'm gonna give it a little stir, and then we're gonna let this sit for 5 minutes. Okay, so it's been 5 minutes, so now I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons of softened butter. I microwaved this because it was cold and it melted it a little bit, but we're still going to try it. And we're gonna add 1/4 cup of honey. Just a little tip, if you're ever having to measure out anything sticky like honey or molasses or corn syrup, spray your measuring cup with cooking spray. Now it says to use an electric mixer on low speed to blend in 2 cups of the flour, but since I don't have like a stand mixer, I'm just going to use my hand mixer. So this is what my hand mixer looks like. It's a KitchenAid. I love it. It comes with 2 little attachments, so I'm going to use this instead of a KitchenAid. Added 1.5 teaspoons of salt. Then it says after it's moistened to beat it on medium speed for 3 minutes. So now it says to stir in 1 1/4 to 1 3/4 cup of flour until dough pulls away from sides of the bowl. So now on a lightly floured surface, I'm going to dump this dough out with, like, you know, all the stuff in the bottom. And now the idea is to knead it for 10 minutes while adding more flour to it. So I'm going to start with 1/2 cup of flour and then go from there. So basically what I do is I just take the 1/2 cup of flour and set it next to it, and I'm going to start kneading. So now the bread dough is all kneaded, so I'm going to spray this Corningware bake thing, and I'm going to put the dough in here. And if you're wondering why I'm putting it in here, here's my little tip. If you need to rise bread dough, but you don't have like a warm spot in your house right now, it's winter time, it's hard to have like a really warm spot to rise bread dough. What you want to do is go to your oven. And on the oven, you preheat it to 200 degrees Fahrenheit. If you're outside the US, I don't know what that, translates to. And then once it's preheated, shut it off. So I shut it off like in the middle of the kneading process so that it could cool a few minutes. And then you put the bread dough right in there. And the oven is shut off, so I'm just gonna stick it in there. And I'm going to check back in with it in like an hour or so to see how it's rising. And I'm going to clean up, so I'll meet you guys back here. And 1 hour later, our dough has risen. As you can see, it's definitely a lot bigger than when we started. So we're going to punch it. And as you can see, it will kind of shrink down a little bit because it did expand quite a bit. So I have a greased loaf pan right here. I couldn't tell you what size this is, but this is my largest one, I will say that. But I got this from my mom when I moved into the apartment. It used to belong to her. And now I'm going to shape this into a loaf so then we can put it in here and let it rise again. Now I have the dough in my little loaf pan, and I'm going to cover it again. And I'm going to stick it back into my warm spot for about 30 to 45 minutes. So I decided that I wanted to do buffalo chicken mac and cheese for lunch. So I'm going to show you guys how I do that. I'm making it just for like 1 or 2 servings. So just keep that in mind as I'm like showing you my measurements and stuff. And I'm going to show you what I use. The like carcass of a rotisserie chicken. I know that sounds gross, but I'm just going to show you what I do with it after I got pretty much all the meat that I can physically cut out. I'll show you that right now. So the carcass is in here. As you can see, there's still some meat on it. Like, it's not completely bare, but I put this in a pot with some water, a half of a small onion, and a little handful of my baby carrots. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a cover on this and stick it on my stove and let it cook, on low, medium for, an hour or so. And that's basically just going to be making a broth. So for the cheese sauce, this is the chicken that will be going in it, but that's not going in the sauce. I'm just using a cup of milk because, again, I'm only doing, 1 or 2 servings. And this is the amount of cheese I'm going to put in it. This, I couldn't even tell you how much this is. I would say it's about a third of that block of the Cabot Adirondack cheese I showed you in my grocery haul. So that's going to be the sauce. I'm also going to add a little cream cheese to it just because I love adding just a little bit of cream cheese to my cheese sauces. I'm using this one. I found this at the grocery store and I bought it because it has low sodium. And instead of macaroni, I'm using these bow ties because I don't own macaroni. So that's basically the ingredients that will be going into this dish. So in this bowl, I just put that rotisserie chicken in here. I chopped it up and then I coated it with some hot sauce. I used the Frank's Red Hot Original Sauce. And that will go into the pasta once the cream sauce and all that will be added to it. And just add however much you want. I personally like quite a bit because I love buffalo chicken. But if you only like a little bit, then add a little. Or, you could always just omit that and then just have this be like a macaroni cheese with chicken in it. And that would be good too. So our bread loaf has doubled in size. And I have the oven preheated at 350 degrees. I'm going to just quickly brush this with some melted butter before I bake it. I love doing this. It just adds a nice color to it when it bakes. So I'm just going to brush this. And then this is going to bake in the oven for 30 minutes or so. So then the rest of this butter is going to go in this pan. And we have to make a roux to make the cheese sauce for the mac and cheese. A roux is part butter and flour, so you have to add some flour to this. So I added some flour to this. You just want to do enough so it makes this kind of paste looking thing. And I'm just going to cook it for just a minute just to cook out that raw flour taste. And then we're going to add our milk to this. So now I'm going to pour the milk into this mixture. And then I'm going to stir it and start cooking it so it thickens a little. So I added my cheese and my cream cheese to this, and then I'm going to stir this like continuously until everything is melted. So my phone ran out of memory before I could show you guys the last steps of the macaroni and cheese. So basically what I did was with the cream sauce, I added in the pasta and the chicken that was coated in the hot sauce, and I mixed it together. And then I split it in between two little ramekins that I own, and I topped it with breadcrumbs, some Parmesan cheese. I used the fake Parmesan cheese, by the way, stuff that comes in the can. People call it shaky cheese. And then I just drizzled a tiny bit of olive oil over the top, which is totally optional. I just like to do it because it helps the breadcrumbs to kind of like get crispy on the top. And now I'll show you what the finished product looks like. This is what it looks like once it comes out of the oven. So I baked this at 350 for about 15 minutes. So now I have two little portions of this macaroni and cheese, and our bread came out. So here's my little tip. If you are ever wondering how to tell if your bread is done, if you tap it and it sounds hollow, it means it's done. So this is done. I'm gonna let it cool, then take it out of the pan, and then slice a slice of this, and then I'm gonna eat it with my macaroni and cheese. So I'm impatient, and so I'm gonna eat the mac and cheese while the bread cools because I just couldn't wait. So here's my little taste test. I'm happy. It tastes so good. Actually, what I did was I drizzled the top with a little bit of ranch because I love like buffalo chicken with ranch, so it tastes really good. Okay, so this is what the bread looks like, and I just put a little bit of butter on it, so here we go. Mmm. It's really good. I love homemade bread, so it's definitely a winner for me, and it's wheat bread, so I'm really enjoying this. So the last thing we really have to do is finish off what I was doing with the rest of that rotisserie chicken, so I'm going to get to that, and that will be the end of this vlog. So I put a colander over this big bowl, and the reason why I'm going to do that is because I got to dump this into this. And the reason why I'm doing this into a bowl is because that way I catch the broth. Obviously, you're not going to want to just dump this out into the sink, because otherwise, what was the point of doing this? So now everything is dumped into this colander, and then underneath is our broth. So basically what I'm going to do now is I'm going to chop up some extra veggies to put into this pot, and then start taking away the chicken from this carcass. There's a lot of sizzling going on this pan, so you guys just watched me chop up all of this. This is onion, carrot, delicata squash, and potato. Obviously use whatever veggies you have or whatever you want. This is a great way to use up any vegetables you feel like need to get used. So now I have everything in the pan, so I'm going to pour in some of the broth. And now with the rest of the broth in here, I'm just going to cover this and let it cook just like you would if you were boiling any sort of vegetables, just until these vegetables are tender. So I'm just making a slurry. I'm just going to do a little bit of flour into this bowl. probably about 1.5 spoonfuls or so. And then I'm going to add some cold water to this. Then I'm just going to stir this together. Then our veggies are all tender and the soup is bubbling. So I'm going to add this to this. And what this is going to do is just going to thicken the broth in the soup a little bit. And it just kind of adds a little extra creaminess to the soup. Then I'm just going to dump all the chicken that I took off the carcass and put it in there. And then stir it around. And now we have chicken soup. So I'm going to let this cool down and then I'm going to stick it in the fridge. So basically, I just do this every once in a while just so then I have, you know, meals in my refrigerator to eat, because working as a cook, you know, there are a lot of nights where I come home from work and I don't feel like cooking dinner. And so then I gravitate towards, I mean, you guys saw I had, you know, cereal for dinner a couple of nights, and this kind of helps so then I have something that's a little bit more nourishing. Are the things I made like 100% healthy? No, but they're better than me just eating Cap'n Crunch cereal every single night, if that makes sense. So now I have like soup that will last me a few days, so I'll have that in the fridge to eat for dinners. I have one more serving of that mac and cheese, so that's another dinner, and then I have bread to go with all of this. So it's just something really, it's just something I really like to do. So if you guys want to see more of this kind of stuff during my vlogs, I'm all about cooking when I'm bored too. Like this weekend, I was thinking about making cookies. So I'll do that with you guys probably. So I'm gonna end this vlog here. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video and hope you guys didn't think it was too boring, though this is a little bit more exciting. So this is about food, and food is always exciting. So I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys. So a couple of weeks ago I did that video. It was me showing you guys how I curl my hair with my straightener, and then I answered some questions from this tag called 100 questions no one ever asks. And last night before I went to bed, I actually went through the rest of the questions and I realized I don't think the questions are that great for me to really do videos about them, because I just don't think it's worth it. I think they're kind of boring. So I don't think I'm going to carry on with that. So I'm really sorry about that. I was thinking about maybe doing a couple of the questions in my vlogs every day, so that way I can kind of get through them. But we're going to see. But as of right now, I'm not doing that anymore. So there you go.